Hi, I'm Alison of Catherine Allison Interiors, and we're here today in Oakville, where I grew up and where I still live. I want to show you some of the places that I've lived and schools I went to, and talk about their architectural significance and interest. We're going to compare and contrast some different styles, and I'm going to share with you how some of my view of architecture and design has been influenced by these places that I've lived and where I've attended for school. So come with me as we go to West Oakville, to my very first home. Hi, here we are in Southwest Oakville, outside the house I lived in until I was 5 years old. On the inside, it's a split back level house with a sunken living room. Outside, you see light colored stucco, arched windows, and a small courtyard. You're more likely to see this style of architecture in rural Spain. I think it's fair to say that this isn't a style of home that's been widely replicated throughout Oakville. Next, let's go see this first school that I attended. Here we are at Brentwood Public School on Douglas Avenue. I went here from the ages of 5 to 9. Architecturally, you'll see stucco here like we saw in the other house in West Oakville. Otherwise, you can see the style of architecture is very different. You'll see that the windows and doors are strictly rectilinear, and that the front door is solid. There's also a symmetry and a formality to this structure. Being 2 stories tall, it still feels very solid and permanent. Let's go see the architecture of a very different school. This school was built in 1959 and took pains to differentiate itself from classical architecture. It was built during a time called the modern or modernist movement. So what you'll see here, for example, is really no formal door like we saw at Brentwood. And you're also seeing a judicious use of cement blocks and glass windows. At the time this school was built, Canada was trying to show that it was on the leading edge, on the cutting edge of new design. And so this building at the time it was built, would have been seen as very contemporary and forward-thinking. Here we are on William Street, where I lived from the ages of 5 until I flew the nest. My parents still live here today, and when they bought the house in 1979, they were attracted to its traditional form. You can see that it has a center hall plan, it has a Georgian style with minimal ornamentation and black doors and black shutters. It is of historical significance as my parents were the first owners of the home. Prior to that, it was owned by St. Jude's Anglican Church up the street. It was called the Rectory. And now let's go see my home in Southeast Oakville. So here we are, our last stop at this traditional suburban home where I live with my husband and 2 kids. What you're seeing here is a very typical suburban home. We have a large, relatively monolithic garage, and this represents a design challenge because from the street looking at the home, the garage seems to overshadow the rest of the house. So one of our challenges is how to create some interest and focus onto the other side of our property. Thanks for joining me as we visit the homes and schools that I've attended throughout Oakville. Before we go, I just want to leave you with one piece of design advice. No matter what style of home you like or what you're attracted to, I encourage you to employ what I call the 2 big Ds, and that's be discerning and then be disciplined. Decide what you like, stick to that style, figure out what elements, fixtures, finishes go with that style, and then be disciplined about sticking to those elements. That way you'll have a home that has unity and repetition, and that's really what creates strong design. When you have repetition and unity, it creates continuity, and that's when you create a sense of place, a sense of belonging. So thanks so much for joining me, and if you like this video, I hope you'll like it and share it with others. Take care.